Well, hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we're making some custom t-shirts. Well, making custom t-shirts is a great project to get the kids involved. It is one of those projects that, you know what, you can make whatever you want. Making homemade t-shirts has been happening for years. Tie-dye, stenciling, silkscreen, what have you. But we are going to go through a method today and show you how to make your own t-shirts at home, your own custom t-shirts. And you know what, guys? It's with pretty accessible materials. Well, in order to get this project started, you need some kind of a design. And as simple as it can be, I just printed actually a screenshot from the end of my show of the cut above woodworking symbol. Now, I just want the letters. I don't want all of these little cutouts. I could do those if I want, but that I think is going to cause me a few problems in the long run when I cut out the stencil. So you need a printout of your design. Now, the stencil, the material that we're going to use for the stencil is just simple freezer paper, plastic coated freezer paper. Guys, this is used to wrap your foods in for placing it in the freezer to help prevent freezer burn. This is available in any grocery store fairly inexpensively. This stuff is not an expensive item. So we're going to need enough of this with a little spare to be able to cover our whole design. And this is more than enough here that I have. Now, freezer paper has two sides. One side is kind of dull and the other side is shiny. You want this to be shiny side down. That's very important. If it's not shiny side down, this will not work. So guys, with the freezer paper, remember, I can't stress it enough, shiny side down. So I have trimmed my freezer paper down to a more reasonable size to be able to suit this printout. So the next things we're going to need is a sharp knife for cutting out this template and some blue painter's tape. So the first thing we're going to do, guys, is I'm going to tape this freezer paper. Again, I stress the shiny side down. I'm going to tape it down to my cutting mat. Now, when you're taping down your freezer paper, you just want to make sure that it's flat. You don't want it bowed up like this because we're going to be cutting right through our printout onto our freezer paper, and you really want that flat surface underneath to avoid distortion of your cutting. Okay, and if you're happy with this being taped down and being flat, we can now take our printout, lay it over top of our freezer paper, and tape that down as well. Now, guys, depending on your freezer paper and depending on how thick it is and depending on your printout and your design, you may be able to have it underneath to be able to see where to cut. And for me, this I think may be preferable because I can actually see my design through this freezer paper. But if you have a thicker freezer paper or you have a design that is not so pronounced with its defined lines, then you may want to tape it on top of your freezer paper. So obviously, if you're going to place it underneath, you'll want to tape your design down first. Okay. And now comes the tedious part. Guys, with your sharp knife, you're going to want to cut out your entire design. Now for me, there are a lot of straight lines here in this design, so I'm gonna use the assistance of a steel ruler. But if your design has more curves and that sort of thing, you may want to do it freehand. It is completely up to you. You can rotate your mat however you need to be able to be comfortable cutting out your design, but cut out each and every section that you need to be painted onto your t-shirt. Now, something that I will point out here with some of these letters. So there's my letter A cut out. What about the center of the A, the middle section? Guys, this triangle in the center, any letter that you have where there is that section in the middle with that center cutout, you need to save those pieces because we are going to have to adhere them onto the shirt when it comes time to actually create the shirt. Now you can see here that the knife is sharp enough that I'm cutting through both the paper and the freezer paper of this whole project. So if you want to have your design on top to cut for a little easier visibility, that works too, whichever way you want to do it. So I'm going to get all of this cut out. I don't think we need a video of that. It's going to take me a while. So I'm going to get all of this lettering cut out and then I'll show you what to do next. Now guys, I'm not going to pretend that this was a quick process. I've been at this about an hour and a half to cut out this one stencil. And I have all of my little interior pieces that I need right here in this little baggie to keep them safe. So we're going to take the freezer paper off of our cutting mat. We're going to need our t-shirt, and believe it or not, we're also going to need an iron, as in a clothes iron. So we have our t-shirt here, and we also have something that I can say with the utmost certainty we have never seen on the show before, and that is an ironing board. So I have my old iron here. I'm just going to give the front of my shirt a little bit of an ironing to take out any of the wrinkles right in the area where we want our design to be. And what we're going to do now, guys, is we need our template or our stencil that we've cut out. Now, shiny side down. I don't understand why. I don't know how it works, but the shiny section of the freezer paper has the properties to be able to be used like an iron-on transfer. So we're going to set this here so that it's square on our shirt as best we can, and setting your iron for the hottest setting that your shirt, the material, will allow. We're going to iron this down. It doesn't take long. You don't have to hold it there forever, but you'll want to be careful to iron it without wrecking any of your cuttings here. And as well, you want to make sure that it's securely ironed down in place. And once you get that done, your stencil is almost ready to use, because if you remember, we have all of those cutouts. Now those cutouts, one by one, we're going to have to carefully lay them in place and iron them where they go. So let me just do one here to show you, and then I'll get the rest done off camera. So let's start with an A, because I think that will be the easiest to do. So again, shiny side down. We're going to line this up right in the middle of our A where we want it, and then just plop our iron down on there to seat it in place. And there we go. There is our A complete now for the stencil. So I'm going to get all of the other interior pieces of the A, the B, the O, the two O's, the D, the O, the R, get all of those in place, iron them in, and then we need to talk about what type of paint we're going to use for this. Now guys, in order to paint this, there is all different kinds of paints that you can use. Now this is fabric paint, just plain old black fabric paint. You can get it on Amazon at your local craft store. It already has paint medium built right into the paint, so you just use it straight out, just as it is. Now you can get it in single colors, or you can get it in this sort of thing, which is a set of this one has 14 different colors. Smaller bottles here but it has all kinds of vibrant colors that you could use for your shirt if you want. I just want mine to be black, so I'm not going to be using the colored ones. I'm going to be using the black one that I just showed you. But if all you have is your usual acrylic type of craft paint, guys, you can get Crafter's acrylic fabric medium. And this stuff here turns any acrylic paint into a fabric paint that doesn't wash out. And what you do is you mix it 2 to 1. So 2 parts paint to 1 part of the paint medium, and then just use it as you would any other fabric paint. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a brush. I'm going to be painting this in black because it's a lighter colored shirt. You really want to consider the color of your shirt, guys. With painting on shirts, especially dark shirts, the paint is kind of transparent, so it can take several coats. But you don't want to put too much on it because by doing that, it will crack. So you really kind of have to judge how much you're putting on and play it by ear as you go. Don't just layer this stuff on like there's no tomorrow, because it will just crack and get ruined on your shirt. So what we're going to do is I'm going to apply this, but before you do that, guys, something I want to point out. You want to put cardboard in between the layers of your t-shirt, because if you don't, when painting the fabric paint on your stencil, it bleeds through to the back side of your shirt. I've seen it time and time again. I've seen it happen. So get yourself a piece of cardboard to protect the back end of your shirt from your paint as you're applying it. Now guys, with this cardboard in here, you may have noticed, or may not, that I had wax paper taped down to it. You can see it right here. The reason for that is the cardboard protects the backside from the paint seeping through. But if paint does seep through and gets onto the cardboard, what can happen is the paint can dry to the cardboard, and then when you go to peel the whole thing out after the shirt is dry, the cardboard then sticks to the shirt, and it is a nightmare to clean up. So that wax paper is going to prevent that from happening. Mrs. Kenny has made multiple shirts like this, and that comes from her experience. So she threw that tip in here for us today. So we're going to get this entire design painted. You want to brush in a way that you're not going to brush your stencil off. So we're just going to dab the paint on carefully around the edges and fill it in. We're not going to hook the stencil and lift it up. While this is very well situated on here, it will peel off if you apply too much abuse, we'll say. So let's get this painted, and then we can move on to the next step. And now we just have to wait for this to dry before we can peel off our stencil. So you just want to go around the edges and just make sure that you've got good coverage. We can see, or I can see here, just a couple small areas where the color of the shirt is coming through the paint. Now, if that's the effect that you want, then leave it like that. But I'm trying to have it a little more solid, a little more pronounced. So I'm going to go around and check all my letters, and if I'm happy with that, we can just let this dry. Okay, well, truth be told, it's been about a couple hours, and the best part about this freezer paper, guys, as a stencil, watch this. It just peels right off. Like, you don't have to soak it. You know, you may have some parts that stick better than others, but for the most part, you just peel off your stencil. So I'll get this all peeled off, and then I'll show you what it ended up like. And we'll just get this last piece off of here. There we go. Guys, look at that. That is awesome. It truly is. So easy. Generic materials that you may already have at home, the acrylic paint. The only thing you may really need is the paint medium, unless you want to use the pre-mixed stuff like what I did. But guys, what you're going to want to do is check the instructions of your paint, because I'm going to tell you, this is the first time I've ever used this black stuff, and it's thicker than some that I've used before. And I can also tell you, this is the first one that I've ever seen that does not call for heat setting. And what that is after the paint is 100% dry, you place a cloth over top of this and you iron the shirt, and that heat sets the paint to prevent it from being washed off. This stuff here, for some reason, doesn't call for that, but all of my other stuff does. So there you go, guys. Give it a try. Absolutely amazing. Custom t-shirts, however you want, whatever design you want. It's all how much time do you want to put into cutting the stencil, and how much fun do you want to have painting it, guys. Honest to goodness. Custom t-shirts. And there you have it. Custom t-shirts. Guys, this is not rocket science. It's just a load of fun, and you don't even really have to be that technical. You can freehand a shirt all you want. We showed the method here today where you use freezer paper in order to make your stencil. And you know, it's a great method. It's inexpensive. It's easily accessible. It's available at your local grocery store, so you could easily pick some up for dirt cheap while you're out there getting your groceries, and you can get hundreds, literally hundreds of t-shirts out of a roll of freezer paper. The sky's the limit when it comes to using that stuff, and all you really need is the time to cut the stencil. Now, if you have something like, say, a Cricut cutter or that sort of thing, you can use that to cut out your stencil or out of the freezer paper, but just keep in mind that the adhesive or the tack of that cutting mat for a Cricut cutter can be a little aggressive for something as thin as freezer paper, and you may damage it while peeling it off the mat. So I found personal experience that cutting it by hand is actually a better way to go. But I'll caution you, if the young ones are doing the cutting, please, adult supervision all the way. Make sure that they know the safety of using a knife like that, because it is a very sharp implement, and it can damage them and can cause a serious injury. The paint, it's non-toxic, guys. All the paint is non-toxic, and whether you use the pre-bought paint that I had on today's show with that fabric medium in it, or whether you get some acrylic paint of your own and add in the fabric medium, it's the same stuff. One's just pre-mixed and one you have to mix yourself. It's not rocket science. Setting it with the heat, it's all easy stuff. This is nothing that is inaccessible to anybody. But I will say that when using paints, a lighter color of shirt does work better, because the paint can be a little transparent. So the color of the shirt can show through. I've found that a lighter color shirt works better. Either way, guys, it's a fun project, a great one to get the kids involved. A great, say, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Christmas, birthday, Easter gift from the young ones to a grandparent maybe, or to a mom or dad. It's just a fantastic project, a load of fun, and you're really only limited by your imagination. Guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. This is always fun to do this. If you haven't already, if you found any part of today's show knowledgeable, fun, entertaining, why not like and subscribe to the channel? We have an amazing audience base here, and I'm hoping that you're going to consider becoming a part of that. Guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, it's been a load of fun. I hope you've enjoyed the content. I hope you're going to look into getting some paints for yourself and making your own custom t-shirts, whether it's for you or for and with the young ones. And more importantly, guys, I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another Alternative Tuesdays.